Hey everyone, Matt here from Dr. Running, and today we're going to do a comparison review or should I upgrade episode of the Saucony Endorphin Speed 4 versus the new Saucony Endorphin Speed 5. Now the Speed series has been going on for quite some time. It's been extremely popular among many different runners of many different ability levels, and it was originally meant as a race day alternative to the Saucony Endorphin Pro. Saucony contributed to a couple really smart people doing some research that found that different people respond best to different levels of flexibility. So the Endorphin Pro has a carbon fiber plate, a little bit different geometry, and the Endorphin Speed has a nylon plate with a little bit more flexibility, which may work for different people. It's a great shoe that can handle easy runs, long runs. It can be a workout shoe for many people, and a lot of recreational runners. This is a great race day shoe because not everybody does well with really stiff shoes. It's been popular for that reason with a lot of that versatility. Now, version 4 had a lot of changes to it from the previous version. Some people liked it, some people different. Although version 5 looks the same, it's not the same shoe. There are some similarities, but quite a bit has been updated that changes how it feels underfoot, how it transitions, and the stability that's really worth talking about. In fact, I'm really happy I don't do first impression videos because my first impression of this shoe is very different than even the second run as it started to break in. I've got 25 miles on this pair, so it's broken in a good amount. So we're going to help you figure out which one of these might work better for you. If you have version 4, trying to help you figure out should you upgrade to version 5, are the updates worth it? Or if you haven't run in either one of these, should you get the version 4 on sale? Or are the updates in version 5 worth it to you? And help you figure that out. We'll talk about ride, stability, fit, and talk about who it's best for, and then hopefully help you make those decisions yourself. So as always, let's start off with specs. These are taken in my men's size 10. Both of these come in at 36 millimeters in the heel, 28 in the forefoot for an 8 millimeter drop, so no difference really there. The weights are slightly different. Version 4 is 8.8 ounces or about 240 grams. Version 5 is 256 grams or about 9 ounces. So a small weight gain over in version 5. But even though those things are small, there's some accumulation of small differences that make these different in their transition. So one of my complaints of the ride in version 4 that did eventually break in was that the heel was a little bit clunky. Yes, there is a heel bevel, that it's a little bit more center slash, maybe it could even argue just a little bit medial, not really, but there's also a good amount of sole flare laterally that for me just felt a little bit clunky until that broke in. Part of that's also the lateral extension of the plate, which does a good job of stopping people from going too lateral, and there's also a medial one that could be a little bit more centered between the two of them. I still felt over longer runs, it just got me in terms of my post-tip. It didn't feel quite as stable as I needed, but I'm more sensitive than the average person. Still felt light, still felt snappy underfoot. The nylon plate was surprisingly stiff underfoot and really felt great during workouts. It could get a little hard underfoot, especially in the forefoot over longer runs, but I made it work. Version 5 is different. They actually removed the lateral part of the plate, and so it's just on the medial side now, which you can see. And they've also not only moved the bevel angle just slightly over lateral, but this design and its geometry in the lateral part of the midsole collapses quite a bit more. So the heel transition for me is a lot smoother in version 5. The other thing that's really different is that instead of having that kind of push back into the middle, it stays lateral. So those people that need some mild guidance, this shoe is actually going to work if you need mild guidance to keep you a little bit lateral. If you do have lateral sensitivity, this shoe may not work for you because it might keep you a little bit this direction. Yes, the midfoot on the medial side is fairly similar, right? So just a little cutout, not too bad, but the lateral side now has been cut out a little bit more to try to save weight, which means you're going to be pushed a little bit more to the outside than the inside. So people that like that, like me, I found this shoe just to feel, and I'm going to give it credit for being a little bit more stable neutral on this with a little bit more lateral bias compared to the more centered, a little bit less overall stable neutral in the original version. Now, that translates to also different feel underfoot, with version 4 feeling a little bit firmer in the forefoot, a little bit more cushion in the heel, and that's because it's much stiffer. The plate is a lot stiffer. With the redesign, it feels like there's a lot more flexibility underfoot, which makes the shoe transition much easier and makes it feel better on longer runs, on easier runs. It's just an easier easier going shoe, but it also makes it struggle a little bit at those top end speeds. I was able to go faster in version 4. Version 5 feels more comfortable at easier paces and struggles just a little bit more when you try to go faster. It's still a great workout shoe. It just doesn't have the same speed versatility that version 4 does, but version 5 feels much better over longer runs and easier runs, and the forefoot doesn't feel like it's bottoming out. So on paper and on foot, without talking about pace, the foams feel similar, but how they ride in transition is quite different because there's more flexibility in version 5, and there's a little bit more lateral bias, which for those with some medial stability is going to be great. Those people that want a little bit snappier, faster ride, version 4 is going to be a little bit better. The other thing about stability that adds to the heel is there is more medial flare, as you might be able to see on the inside of version 5 compared to version 4. Version 4 was much more centered, kind of fairly equal flare. Version 5 has quite a bit more on the heel. That does a decent job of offsetting the cut-in midfoot, and it also contributes to a lot more pressure on the medial side. When I put this shoe on, I'm actually wearing the opposite ones right now on my feet at the moment. There's a good amount more pressure in the medial side of my heel. It's not arch support. It's not meant to be like, oh, it's super high arch, but just know that people that want a little bit more medial guidance at the rear foot, you're gonna get it with version 5. Version 4 is more centered, a little more clunky on the lateral side. Version 5 just transitions smoother for me if you're someone that likes going on the lateral side. Forefoot is a teeny bit wider than version 4, so not a stability shoe by any means in midfoot and forefoot, but forefoot's just a little bit more stable underfoot, even though it's a little more flexible because it transitions a little bit better. So still both neutral. Version 5 moves into being stable neutral if you need medial guidance. Version 4 stays fairly centered. Now, let's get into the upper, which also changed. I found that version 5 was a little bit snug. I had my fifth toe hanging off the outside of the shoe here. The upper obviously broke in with time, but it felt a little bit snug. Version 5 widens up over the whole shoe. Initially, I thought it was just the forefoot, but what they added is a little bit more room on that lateral pinky toe, so I've got more room. The toe box is a little bit more rounded, but there's also a teeny bit more room throughout the rest of the upper, so I have had to tie the laces down, but if you found version 4 to be just a tad too snug, version 5 is going to give you a little bit more room, not just in the forefoot, which is nice and round a little bit more, but you're also going to notice a little bit more in the heel and the midfoot. Not excessively so, but enough you go, I might have to lock this down a little bit more or my feet might not get as crunched. If you do have narrow feet, just know there's gonna be more room and maybe version 4 might get better for you, but if you want to have a little more toe box room, for sure get version 5. Outside of that, heel counters, really similar. Everything else is fairly similar. A little bit more tongue girth in version 5. That's a weird thing to say on YouTube. But for the most part, things are really similar on foot. And uppers, even though they've changed to more hexagon mesh that's slightly lighter, still feels somewhat similar, but just a little bit more room. So at the end of the day, who are these shoes going to work best for? People that want a little bit stiffer, snappier, and faster ride should go with version 4. People want a shoe that still can handle workouts, but is a little bit more versatile into the easier realm and longer realm, and doesn't bottom out as the forefoot because there's a little more flexibility. Version 5 is going to be better. People that have a more narrow foot, version 4 is going to be better. People that just want a tad more room, version 5 is going to be better. People that don't have stability needs, version 4 is going to be the better option, especially if you have any lateral bias, this is going to be the better shoe. But if you need a little, if you don't want lateral bias, go with version 4. But if you want some mild medial guidance elements, especially in the heel, then I would definitely go with version 5. So some small updates that make the shoe a little bit different overall, but still a speed. Still a good comparison, good alternative to the Saucony Endorphin Pro series, and I think the more appropriate shoe for the general masses than the Endorphin Pro, which is also a great shoe, but the speed, I think, is really good, and just, like I said, it's different. Please let me know in the comments below, do you agree or disagree with these comments? As always, everybody's feet are a little bit different. I am just trying to add to this. If your feet match mine, great. If not, let the comments below help be a place where you can share with others that are coming here to try to figure out which one of these is going to work best for them. And last but not least, I do this because I want to help everybody out, so really appreciate you listening. And as always, hope this helps you keep running, making good decisions about what you're putting on your feet, and not have to worry too much about what your shoes are doing.